Welcome to the gamer fans of all ages. Today we'll be breaking down 10 of the hardest levels ever designed for a Nintendo game. Most of these entries were created by developers, however some were actually made by fans courtesy of Super Mario Maker 2. This list will not be in any particular order, nor will it be exhaustive, so if you know of a harder level, tell us in the comments below. Let's get on with it, shall we? Show me your moves! Super Mario Maker 2, DIEVINE Garden. What is it about Super Mario Maker that gives us both joy and pain? There's the happiness with the amount of creative expression that you could bring to such a beloved universe, building pathways, obstacles, and boss fights that you wish you could have played when you were younger. And there's the joy that comes with sharing your creation to the world for all to enjoy. But then there's the gnawing aftermath of failing again and again and again over a player-made level that frustrates you so much. One of these kind of impossible levels comes from the mind of Panga, whose map DIEVINE Garden is incredibly daunting. Using the basis of Mario 3D Land, the level forces Mario, and by extension you, to speedrun through. There's no thinking methodically or calculating steps, it's just pure survival instinct as you attempt to take Mario through a sea of piranha plants, thwomps, and spikes. Even Panga had a hard time clearing it, and as we all know, the only way for a player-made map to be shared online is if it's actually completed by the map maker. He also has a whole collection of other creative, albeit impossible levels uploaded for you to try, so please, check them out. Breath of the Wild, Trial of the Sword. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a great game that's challenging to live in. Your weapons wear and tear quite quickly, and much of Link's longevity comes from the complex cooking mechanics you must be skilled in. Every corner of the world is hostile, corrupted by Calamity Ganon. Yes, Ganon is so evil in this game that he needs to put Calamity in front of his name. The hardest part of Breath of the Wild has to come from its DLC pack, the Champion's Ballad, which added a mini dungeon called the Trial of the Sword. This consists of 54 floors of enemies and boss fights, and this includes Lynels, the biggest pains in the butt in all of Hyrule. In order to complete this trial without losing a single life, you will need to be cautious as ever. Link is stripped of all weapons, armor, and food. In the first level, stock up on weapons, and don't forget any chests that can be uncovered with the Sheikah Slate. Specific clothing items can be found that can assist in certain trials, like using the Flamebreaker boots for the volcano floors. Conserve your precious resources like ancient arrows, and eat some food for goodness sake. Beat the final 24 floors and be rewarded with the full power of the Master Sword. Overall, the Trial of the Sword is more than just a challenge. It's a nightmare. Super Mario Maker 2, 1-1 with a twist. Created by YT Sunny, this player-made map is just plain torture. The title of the level is very straightforward. The designer recreated the NES Super Mario Bros. Beginning section of the game. Only the twist is that it's overrun by fire bars. Do not spend your time standing around waiting for an opening. It is meant to be sped through, and the only real way to beat this level is by pure trial and error. Every little movement needs to count towards Mario's survival. This level looks so daunting that it's already become a meme on its own. You can find many attempts to clear this level out on YouTube with countless streamers and Let's Play channels giving it countless tries. The Game Grumps stream in particular is pretty hilarious to watch. And by the way, when you reach the ending flagpole, Mario can't even enter the castle. Evil. F-Zero GX Shadow Road. Falcon Punch! And that's all most casual fans get out of the underrated Nintendo franchise F-Zero. Debuting back in 1990 for the NES, the racing game grew to become intense, fast-paced, and relentless. It even inspired the creation of titles such as Daytona USA and Wipeout. Unfortunately, F-Zero hasn't had a new game since the GameCube era of the early 2000s. One of its last entries, F-Zero GX, proved to have one of the most infuriatingly difficult tracks Nintendo has ever developed, Shadow Road. This track, also called Slimline Slits, is used in the final chapter of the story mode, and its difficulty proves that. Many fans have noted the cheating AI of the other racers, the lack of guardrails, and the chaotic pace of twists and turns that leaves you clutching your stomach from motion sickness. Just in case it's crossed your mind to do a little cheating, you may want to check out 10 video games that humiliate players for cheating. Because the games aren't always so forgiving. We recommend you beat F-Zero the old-fashioned way, folks. Just have some patience with Phantom Road and eventually you might come in first place. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels World C3. There was no way to complete this list without at least one entry from Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. This is an infamously hard Mario game to slog through, so much so that it was originally considered too difficult for Western gamers. Fun fact, by the way, The Lost Levels was actually the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2. But one level that made The Lost Levels truly impossible was World C3. In this level, you must rely on bouncy springs to help you get to the flagpole. You have to bound off screen and hope that you'll land on a platform and not the abyss. Meanwhile, there's a wind that is constantly blowing you away from your desired destination, and there's a Lakitu always on your trail. That darn Lakitu throwing his spines all over the place. To top it all off, the level has a glitch where one of the springboards fails to appear, preventing you from beating the level. That's what we call impossible. Ocarina of Time, Water Temple. Yes, we know, the Water Temple. It's now a meme symbolizing all that is aggravating and frustrating to gamers. It isn't just Zelda fans either. The game's director, IGA Onuma, publicly apologized for creating it. There are several reasons why this dungeon is hated so much. First off, the pacing is all over the place. At numerous points, Link must adjust the water levels of the rooms. That means a whole lot of backtracking and wading through water, which slows the player's movements greatly. Next is the reliance on an item called the Iron Boots, which allow Link to sink to the bottom of multiple bodies of water. The problem came with the clunkiness of the inventory system. Every time you need to equip or unequip the boots, then you have to pause the game and maneuver through the menu screens and icons just to access them. Thankfully, in the remastered 3DS version, this problem was dealt with by the simpler button layout. But the temple itself was so expansive and messy, filled with confusing corridors, and you'd need to backtrack through a lot of them, and you'd be moving at a snail's pace much of the time, and you'd have an anticlimactic boss fight with an eyeball. Jeez. This level would have actually been fine if it had some more polish to it. However, the Water Temple is now forever a cautionary tale in gaming history. Super Mario Maker 2, Lethal Injection. Lethal Injection is all about timing and endurance. This Mario Maker map was designed by Dan Salvato, the mastermind behind the psychological horror game Doki Doki Literature Club. Dan is obviously a fan of making people shiver in terror because as of this last month, it currently has a 0% clear rate. Unlike other incredibly hard Mario Maker levels, this one appears quite simple. Featuring no uplifting music or pretty background, the level is filled with spike pillars that must be hopped over. The objective is to jump through the floating on-off blocks in such a way that propels you to enemies. You must bounce off them to reach the next set of on-off blocks. If you jump incorrectly into the blocks, Mario tumbles down into the darkness, or the spikes could get him, or the Goombas and Piranha Plants. Dan makes it look so easy on his own channel, but try it out for yourself and see just what horrors await you. Donkey Kong Country, Snow Barrel Blast. Let's take you all the way back to the original Donkey Kong Country made by Rare. This was a great revamp of the DK character and brought a sense of joy and humor to the series in a way never before seen for Nintendo. However, they also left us with a nearly impossible level to play, Snow Barrel Blast. Located on World 4-1, the design is based on scaling an icy mountain. As DK and Diddy Kong climb, the screen gets filled more and more with a raging snowstorm. The barrels that you must pop out from begin spinning faster and faster. Zingers and neckies keep getting in your way. That floor is slippery to make matters worse. If you're a bit shaky when it comes to platformers, boy, you sure are in for a treat. Truth be told, there is actually a hidden shortcut in this treacherous level, but we will not share that info with you. Suffer as we did. Mario Kart Wii, Rainbow Road. While this is the hardest level in Mario Kart Wii, it's also the most beautiful. Rainbow Road has a long history for Nintendo fans ever since its debut on the original Mario Kart on the SNES. That version was tough as well, with the lack of guardrails and 90-degree turns that were bound to cause thrown controllers at the time. The Wii version gave us an even more difficult Rainbow Road. The track starts with an enormous drop-off. Make sure to hit every single boost, otherwise the CPUs will take advantage and push you to the back of the competition. There are plenty of ramps to catch some air, but there's a high risk of falling into space. In fact, that's true of nearly every corner of the track. If you make it through the latter half of Rainbow Road, you will be met by a split in the road. You won't have much time to choose which road to drive on, and if you're like us, you probably drove right into the center like a dummy. Either path is incredibly hard to master, so we can't tell you which one side is going to be any smoother. At this point of the race, just forget about winning and enjoy the cosmic visuals around you. The Adventure of Link, The Great Palace. The NES had its fair share of excruciatingly difficult games and levels. Considering that our list will only be about Nintendo properties, we won't be including the infamously hard levels in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Silver Surfer, or Battletoads. Instead, our NES rep will be from Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. We're talking about the end of the game where the player must face the Great Palace. To start, this is the largest dungeon in the history of Zelda. There are way too many traps and cheap tricks that the game throws at you to make you lose a life. There are two ridiculously hard bosses in the shape of Thunderbird and Dark Link. Combine this with the awkward slide scrolling that Zelda games don't usually have, and you've got a recipe for failure. We love the music on this level though, just to be clear. And this is where we end the video for today. What'd you think? What was your experience with these impossibly hard levels? Leave a comment below to tell us. If you enjoyed the video, give a like and hit the subscribe button as we're releasing videos every couple days. Click the notification bell so you won't miss a single upload. And if you don't, we'll lock you away in that dang water temple. Just kidding. But really, do all the things.